Alright guys, ZFR back here again today, and that's right, we are finally talking about Star Wars Battlefront 2, and yes, I am finally talking about this game on this channel. I have had the game for a while now. I got it I didn't get it as soon as it released, but I think I got it like a couple days after, so it's been a while that I've been playing it and I just haven't said anything. It's been about a month, a little over a month now, and I am finally ready to give my opinion on Star Wars Battlefront 2. For those of you who don't know, going into this, I was hoping for this to be my game of the year. So this game's a big deal for me. It's a big deal for this channel. Um, Basically, before even starting this off, I just want to say that this is going to act as my review for the game, but at the same time, I'm going to be giving a much more personalized opinion on the game in this video compared to, a really balanced out, well done review like I usually try to do, unbiased one. With this, I'm going to pretty much just give a lot of my opinion, so feel free not to count it as a traditional review, but at the same time, it is going to be counted as my review for the game. So without further ado, we are going to get into this, but before we do, if you are afraid of spoilers, there will be major spoilers in this video. I put a warning beforehand, so anybody who is nervous about that could see. There will be spoilers in the video, so prepare yourself. But anyway, let's get into this. So first thing we gotta talk about right off the bat is those darn loot boxes. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I don't want to rant about it. First of all, if you haven't heard what's going on with the Star Wars Battlefront 2 loot crates and stuff, go look it up, because I'm not going to explain everything in this. But basically, for the most part, what happened is, for a while, the game was pay to win. You could actually pay for loot crates that gave you star cards that were super OP, and that would give you a big advantage over some other players in the multiplayer, and that was complete garbage. So yeah, it's a good thing that's over, but of course the game is still structured around that system, so things are still getting worked out. They still have a couple things here and there to fix because of that, and that was just a massive mistake, not to mention a really scummy looking move on EA's part. But luckily, because of the community's joint reaction to it, they have backed off of it, and they have said that they have taken loot crates out of the game at the moment, but they do plan to bring them back later. So most likely they're not gone for good. So just be aware of that. We may have to worry about that later on in the future. But anyway, overall, the whole loot crate thing, I just want to say that I do think it's important. I do think it's great that people stood up for that and they didn't take it laying down, because if they did, this is Star Wars. If the Star Wars fandom let people get away with this, our developers are like, well, that was Star Wars. That people don't play around when it comes to Star Wars now. So if they could get away with it, everyone else definitely can. So yeah, that's the thing. We have to make sure these developers know that this is not acceptable, that they've got to treat us better than this, because we don't want them getting too comfortable on that kind of stuff. And I think it was really great to see the game really kind of be a showcase of that. And I do think it affected the game's image in a bad way, in a good way. Bad way being the loot crates in there in the first place. Good way being the game kind of became a symbol showing people, hey, if we all stand together, we can get what we want changed. So yeah, I'm not even going to talk anymore about that, because I don't want to get caught up with that in this whole video, because this video is about the game as it is now and how I feel about it a month or a little more than a month later. So yeah, without further ado, let's talk about it, you guys. Let's talk about some of the good stuff in Star Wars Battlefront 2. Let's talk about just a few of the good things that I really did enjoy with this game. First of all, the graphics, just hats off to them. Just like the last game, they did a really great job with all the graphic stuff in this. I mean, it just looks amazing. Even like the detail in some of these maps and areas, like on Naboo, you have all the citizens running away at the beginning of the round. When you go to the Holo Temple on Yalva, you see animals all throughout the round. They're just like scurrying around and all that while the fighting's going on. It looks amazing. Like the amount of detail they put into the game is just top notch. It's top quality, and it truly is impressive. So like, hats off to them on that. I really am impressed with the graphics. I hope developers try to put this level of detail in their games from now on. Like, I mean, I hope developers focus a lot more on detail such as they did in this game, because the detail is just insane. It makes the game very enjoyable while you're playing. So that, of course, is great. The next big thing I really want to talk about is the gameplay. Stuff like the combat times, the kill, hero characters, all that. So the combat in the game is good. All right, that's really the best way I can put it. It's just straight up good. It's really solid combat. Everything feels very comfortable. I can't really point out anything that feels kind of unnatural and stuff. The only thing I really still kind of feel like I should get on them about is this shotgun still being a star card. I guess some people are okay with that, but no, I want an actual shotgun in the game. Like, I mean, come on, like, I don't think that's too much to ask for. I want a shotgun weapon that I can wield in the game besides the star card version. I just want to run around the map with a shotgun. That sounds completely reasonable to me. They make it work in other games. They can make it work in this game. I mean, come on. Another thing, I heard a lot of people complaining about the times to kill in the game. Doesn't really bother me. I mean, in my opinion, they're really well mapped out, and like, if as long as you're a skilled player, like, it's set up in a way where as long as you're using skill, you should be all right. Like, you should be able to land multiple kills or whatever, as long as you really know what you're doing. As long as you're going for those headshots and everything, you can get a few extra kills when you get in a sticky situation. But if you're not on your A game, if you do run into like 2 or more people, you are going to be at the bigger disadvantage. So with that being said, I want to move on and talk about the hero characters, which is a big deal in Star Wars Battlefront in general, like it has been since the old games. I do like the way they did the heroes in this game, where you could actually pick them from the spawn screen and stuff. I know some people have a problem with it because we have a couple people out here who are just camping the spawns for hero characters and stuff, which really sucks. Don't do that if you play the game, because you know, me and most real gamers will consider you like garbage for that. But anyway, like, yeah, don't camp the spawn screens for heroes. That sucks. But for the most part, all of the heroes are really well done. For a while there, I was going to say Darth Maul's OP, but I think he's just right. Like, I think he's at that level. I think he's just one of the easier ones to use, but as long as you know how to fight him, like, he shouldn't be too big of a problem. But yeah, all of the hero characters are really great. They just added some of the new ones in. Let me just throw it out there that Finn and Captain Phasma, like, they just threw them in, and I think those two need a buff. I'm not gonna lie. Like, not hating on them or anything. If you like them, that's great for you, but just saying, in my opinion, those hero characters low-key do suck. Those two characters, which is weird because they're the ones that just got added in, and I realize they're probably not made for the most aggressive roles, which is weird to say, because when you look at Captain, maybe I can see that with Finn, but when you look at Captain Phasma's abilities, like, it just seems like they're telling you to go up and get in the enemy's face. He has a staff ability, for goodness sake, but like it feels like she's too weak. Like it feels unnatural to get in close combat with her, which is weird to me. So yeah, they need to do something about that. That felt like those characters felt awful. Definitely my two least favorites so far. But yeah, other than that, all the other hero characters are great. The whole star card things, like I said, I guess I like them. To be honest, I would prefer them just do traditional style where, you know, you can just equip grenades, or you can equip the grenade launcher. You unlock this certain stuff through leveling up. I'm not a big fan of the whole star card system where you open the loot boxes and stuff in order to get you know, some of the new stuff for your characters, or where you just have it in the beginning. I'd rather you have to work your way up and unlock all of that, because then the game and the experience just feels overall more worth it. It feels like a higher quality experience. But overall, other than that, the only thing left to talk about in this department is the classes. And what can I say? They're all really well done. I feel like they did a really good job with the classes. I will say this, I do wish one of the classes could deal with vehicles a little bit better. Maybe I haven't gotten to that point because I haven't leveled up an insane amount in the multiplayer, and I'll get to that in a second why. But it just feels like there's not enough classes that can deal with the vehicles. It feels like none of them can really just straight up stand up to some of the bigger vehicles in the game without getting completely mopped or just running out of resources to fight them off with. I mean, there's a few things here and there that, as long as you know you and your teammates are working together, you should be alright. But it's not like in Battlefield or something like that where you have a whole class dedicated to taking care of vehicles. But yeah, other than that, let's move on to talking about the multiplayer. And of course, I just talked about a lot of stuff like the classes, and I've even mentioned the progression, how I don't like that. Like, I just want normal leveling up and unlocking stuff as you go along. I just feel like that's the best way to do multiplayer games. I feel like that's the most satisfying way to do it. And it's simple. Just stick with the simple route, people. But yeah, other than that, the game modes, really disappointed at the amount of game modes in here. There's just not enough. Like, I was hoping for a lot more. If I'm being honest, like, they don't feel like they have that much variety between them. Like Starfighter, Assault, you have Blast, you have Strike, Heroes versus Villains, and then you have Galactic Conquest, or whatever the really big mode is called, you know, where it's kind of like Battlefield version of Rust or whatever. I don't like that. I really don't like the amount of stuff they have in the game. And if I'm being honest, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really care for any of these modes an insane amount in particular, to be honest with you. Like, I either just play Blast or I go for the big mode. Like, I don't really care for too many of the modes they have in here. I would care to have something maybe like Domination from Call of Duty, or maybe either like something a little bit more unique, something a little bit more Star Wars. I feel like the modes, I don't know. I guess I just want more modes. I'm not saying the modes are bad, but give me more of them, because the ones we have, they're good, but there's not enough, and they feel kind of similar to one another. I mean, like, Strike and Blast feel really similar, except one just has an objective and the other doesn't. So anyway, moving on from that, the maps are all really well done. I already talked about that earlier with the graphics. Like, the graphics in the game are just, man, like, they're just amazing, blow you away. quality. So yeah, once again, absolutely no problems with that. Other than that, like the only thing I can think of is the balance. Like, I mean, the balance of the multiplayer doesn't feel bad to me at all. Like, I mean, I feel like they did a much better job with that in this game, because in the last game it was really bad. Whereas if you played as the rebels, you almost always got mopped on the bigger maps because the Empire got vehicles and you didn't. So I feel like they've done a good job of fixing that and balancing that out here, because that was a massive flaw in the last game. I honestly don't know how a developer like DICE missed something that big. I mean, that's honestly kind of embarrassing that they did that to themselves. But moving on, I want to talk about the very last point in this video, which is the story of Star Wars Battlefront 2. Star Wars Battlefront 2 story really, I'm not gonna lie, it irritated me. And here's the reason why. Because I am so sick of seeing not only, I mean, here's the thing. Like, this has been happening with games for a while now, and I've been noticing this. I've been pointing this out with games for a long time now. But recently, I've noticed this is just something that happens a lot in the Star Wars universe. They bring in something with all of this potential, and then they kind of fail to deliver on it. They fail to really give fans the full amount of what they want on that specific thing. This story was supposed to be epic. This story takes place around Iden Versio, leader of the Empire's elite Infernal Squad, and this was our first really big look at the inside of the Empire, and yet it feels like it was rushed through so fast. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it was bad, because, well, to be honest with you, that's what makes it so bad. What makes this so bad is that what we did get was actually pretty good and actually somewhat interesting, but they just didn't expand upon it enough, and it kind of, in a way, made it fall flat in a little bit on itself, and that's what's really irritating. So basically what I'm talking about, let's just go through a few things that I think is wrong with the campaign. Number one, Iden Versio was the main character of this campaign. Yet, there's only 11 missions when the game first comes out in the entire campaign. And on top of that, we only play as Iden for 6 of those missions. That is a big no-no. I don't know who thought that was a good idea, but that's some garbage, DICE. Like, I mean, that was absolute trash. Not to mention, a lot of those missions were space battles. I can't even remember how many. At least 2 or 3 of them. So yeah, that was a massive no-no. I didn't like that one bit. They need to that was a big disappointment in my opinion. And don't get me wrong, I liked playing as iconic characters like Han Solo and Luke and Leia and everybody. Even got to play as Kylo Ren towards the end. But I mean, it got to a point where it was like, we already seen these characters in action on the big screen in all of the other games for years now, except Kylo Ren. That was the only one that I felt was a really surprising and cool add-in that absolutely deserves to be in this game more than all the others. But other than that, like, it was like we've seen these characters for so long. Why are we taking focus away from this awesome new main character to put back on these characters we've already spent such a long time with? And don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem with them being in the game. I don't have a problem with those missions in particular where we played as those icon characters, because they were good. I did like them and stuff, but I'm just saying, if you were going to do that, we definitely should have had way more missions of us playing as Aiden. It felt like we didn't get enough Aiden. It felt like her story was rushed and undeveloped, poorly developed in my opinion. So that was like the big problem I had with the campaign that hurt it the most in my opinion. Even Alright, and before I move on, I'm going to talk about Season 2, which just came out not too long ago, like right before Christmas or right around the time the movie came out or whatever. So, even during the campaign, like, I noticed, like, some of the bigger events that would have been really cool to see, or just some of the, not bigger events, but some of the smaller, more stretched-out events, they skipped over them. Like, they were nothing. Like, after... Like, I mean, for instance, Aiden and Dell they pretty much get accepted into the rebellion instantly. I mean, don't get me wrong, it didn't need to take a long time, but a little bit of development leading up to that, at least a full mission or two of development in that would have been good. Then after they join the rebellion, they go on like, I can't remember, I think they went on like one mission with them, and then boom, we skip all the way to the Battle of Jakku, which if you remember, you know that is the last big battle that the Rebels and Empire have. You know that if you're a Star Wars fan, and it's just like, what? Did we really just skip the actual fall? Did we really just skip the very last couple of battles the Rebels and the Empire had after the death of the Emperor and Darth Vader? We skipped past all of that and we went way to the fall of the Empire. I mean, did we really just skip all of that story? Did we just really skip all that character development that you could have gave Aiden and Dell, their conflict with joining the Empire and stuff? Like, I mean, and that's the thing, they had some good stuff in here. Like, the mission where they defected was great. Even the part when they first killed stormtroopers and Dell was like, I hated having to do that. Stuff like that was great, but it felt like we were just jumping between those really great points so fast. It felt like such poor development to me, and that's just irritating. That's bad storytelling, in my opinion. I mean, just connect the dots a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, moving on, Season 2 came out, and I did enjoy it. I did enjoy Season 2. I don't know if I want to say slightly more than the first season, because it had the same problem. Like, Season 2, it felt like it was rushed. It felt so fast. It went by so fast, and it felt like we skipped over a bunch of big stuff. Like, the one time, and this is what irritates me about it, this is the funny part. The one time I wouldn't have mind that you taking us out of Aiden's shoes, you didn't do it. Like, there's a mission where the ship gets shot down, and you have Aiden's daughter on the ship and everything, and there's this whole mission where we're looking for her. It would have been nice if we had a mission that came either before that one or after. I don't know how they would do it, but I'm pretty sure they can figure out, with enough thought, you can figure out some way to transition that. But it would have been cool if you got to play as the daughter for just a while during that sequence. That would have been great. I would have liked I mean, I like them getting on the Star Destroyer, on Hosk's Star Destroyer, and, end up killing him by the end of that. But I almost wish that wasn't the very last time we saw. I kind of wish the Star Destroyer went down and there was, like, at least one more mission in there. I get that the story they were trying to tell there was a little more condensed, so they didn't really have too much space to stretch it out in. But they could have done a little bit more than they did. It felt like boom, boom, boom. I mean, if I'm correct, I think it was only like 4 or 5 missions and it was over. So, yeah, that was really short. Like, I wish they had a little bit more build up than that. But at the same time, I did like it. It actually added on to the game a lot more than it already was. Because I was ready to trash the campaign until I remembered, oh yeah, there's a season 2. There's gonna be more before we're done with this game. So that was a save a little bit. But then on top of that, it just reminded me that they made that giant time jump of Aiden growing old and having a daughter and everything, and then she dies in season 2. Like, we didn't get to play as Aiden enough. I'm sorry. Throughout all this, she died in season 2, and yet it felt like I didn't get to play as her nearly enough. It had me salty, I'm not going to lie. But anyway, guys, I'm going to stop crying about this right now, because like, this video is at 30 minutes, and this may be one of the longest videos I've made. Like, the editing for this is going to be crazy. But anyway, yeah, that's all I just really want to talk about. Like, it was just Star Wars Battlefront 2. Here's my verdict for all of this. Star Wars Battlefront 2 is a good game. It is a great game, but it is at the same time a game that missed the mark a lot of us were hoping it would hit. It did kind of let us all down in that aspect, and I kind of was hoping for more from it in general, like across the board. I didn't really talk about the co-op and everything, because I really don't feel like it's necessary. I feel like that part of the game is good, so no point in really bringing that up. But anyway, if you're a Star Wars fan, you will enjoy this to a degree, but don't expect it to be like, oh my god, this is super amazing, blow your socks off, like, this game is so great. They should make it like a I mean, obviously this probably is an official part of like the canon or whatever, but we should make this like a movie or something like that. It's not going to be that fantastic, alright, but yeah, it's pretty good. It is pretty good. I'm not trying to trash the game. I just, once again, was hoping for more. But anyway, guys, that's all I have to say about this. I'm kind of thinking over whether or not I should upload my walkthrough for season 2. I'm thinking I am, but at the same time might change my mind. So just keep your eyes open for that. I will let you guys know what I'm going to do with that by the end of the weekend, so just keep your eyes open for that. There's also more videos coming out, like some Dragon Ball Super stuff, some Walking Dead stuff. So once again, just stay tuned to the channel. We do have a lot going on behind the scenes. Like I said, I have like 2-3 giant videos I'm working on that are going to be just as good as this one, that are going to take me a while to finish. I'm almost done with one of them, but the other 2 are going to take a little bit longer. Those aren't probably going to be out until like next month, and one of them's probably going to be like late February, not late February, but like early mid-February. So just be patient, guys. But anyway, thank all you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and if you didn't, hit the dislike button. Don't be afraid. Feedback is great, no matter which way you go with it. Leave a comment. You guys know I love the comments. I'm a comment whore, I know. But yeah, do whatever you guys want. But overall, thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys on the next one. ZFR out, guys.